Sound check 1 2 1 2. Welcome back everybody to the Talk Titans Racing League for tonight's action here for round 2 of this 8-round season here in the 3rd tier of Talk Titans, as we're back here tonight for the first time ever for myself at this at the Madrid, the new home of the Spanish Grand Prix, and it's really looking forward to seeing this track. Actually, it's going to be the first time I've ever commentated on a race around this track. It's going to be the first time I've ever seen in any real detail this track and what the nature of it is, and just taking in the scenes around it. So very, very excited for this indeed. This is going to be a first time for me. I don't know about the drivers. Hopefully they've been putting in the practice over the last week or so. They've had time to prepare for this journey into the unknown here tonight. But yeah, this is going to be the home of the Spanish Grand Prix, obviously for the next few years in real life F1, with the Catalonia Grand Prix at Barcelona being held every 2 years. So this is where there's going to be a race every single year in Spain, and looking forward to it. We've got 20 cars out on the track here at the moment. I don't know if we're expecting any more. 20 drivers isn't a bad turnout at all when you consider everything. Obviously, you know, you've got 22 drivers signed up to a championship, so if over 90% of them turn up to the race, then you're doing pretty well as a league. So looking very good here so far tonight. Let's jump on board here with one of the first drivers out on the track, Berza, who's just coming through the first part of the lap. Tell you what, this section reminds me of Long Beach. Don't know if anyone's driven the Long Beach circuit on any other games, any other sim games, but straight away I'm getting Long Beach vibes just off of that long right-hander through turn 1, and just generally as a whole this track just kind of gives off that vibe. Well, they're saying that it seems to be a lot faster than Long Beach. That was just my initial impressions. Obviously those impressions are now quickly fading away as we head around the lap, but that looks like a very exciting right-hander, which is going to potentially tee up maybe a few overtakes here into this section if drivers are able to stay close. Yeah, wow, okay, this is looking pretty exciting, and also challenging as well, because some of these apexes are literally about, well, probably an inches from the wall, to be perfectly honest with you. The ideal line is going to be so close to those concrete walls on the inside of the track. I mean, I'm sure we're bound to see some safety cars tonight. I can't see how we're going to get away without any safety cars. So yeah, it's this to me, I'm getting good vibes off of this track already. I think we could be in for a cracking race here tonight. Let's watch the first flying lap of the session anyway. I believe Berza was the first out. Might be wrong actually. Berza might not be the first driver out, but one of the first drivers out anyway onto the track. Here we go into that little flick between the turns 1 and 2, that left, right, this long section of the track, this flat out part of the track here. As here we come through this corner, which reminded me of Long Beach a bit, into this heavy braking zone chicane. Oh, he overshoots that as Berza. That will probably be an invalid lap time there, I reckon. So that's going to be, I think, put paid to any chances of pole position for the time being here on this lap. Unless corner cutting's on regular, but I think it's probably on strict. Most leagues have it on strict, but I don't know. I'm not actually 100% sure what the TTR will have it on. But it looks like Berza's definitely backed out of that, as we just see another driver there making their way through. That's Big Ozco there, just making his way ahead of this. No, it's not, sorry. It was Zebra Gaming there, moving ahead. But yeah, into clean air. But anyway, no lap times on the board just yet, as JR Dillon has fallen foul of what I said could be a problem tonight, with the concrete walls being so close to the apexes of some of these corners. JR Dillon is out of the race here, or out of qualifying should I say, very early on. One interesting thing to note is that Hayes is on the hard tyres. Obviously you don't have to start on the tyres that you qualify on in F1 nowadays, not like the times of old, so there's no advantage really to being on the hards, unless of course he feels that the tyres are going to wear out so quickly that the hards are going to be better over a lap, which I very much doubt. The mediums around some tracks in extreme conditions are quicker over a lap. I don't think the hards have ever been quicker over a lap than the softs, but Zebra Gaming goes top of the leaderboard there by over a second. WTech, Vinny and CT Sorry coming in, the other drivers to have done a lap here so far. CMAC there into P4 with a 33.1, so just over 2 seconds covering the 4 drivers to have done lap times so far here in this session. Ocean Blake currently out there coming through the middle sector of the lap. Let's jump on board here as we're currently riding with the league owner from our Wednesday league, the Red Thunder Racing League, which I stream on this channel. And when it's our, obviously I mean anyone who watches these streams, technically, because that's the league that gets streamed on here on a Wednesday night. Urban Pitbull has gone into 3rd place with that latest lap. Jordan Hilliard slots in behind into 32.7 as we see Ocean Blade over the line and goes very close there to Zebra Gaming. I tell you what, it's nip and tuck here between the two Hasses up the front of the pack here. Less than half a tenth separating the top 2 so far, so it's very close here between these two. Salates has slotted into 3rd place as well, so that's a very solid lap time there from Salates. So just to recap, obviously last week we had the opening race of the season last week. Ev the Legend took the win ahead of Ernie, who finished in 2nd place, with Penrose completing the podium. Looks like we haven't got Ev the Legend or Penrose here this week, so I don't know whether there's been a reshuffle between the races. Could be the case, but nonetheless, those two on here. Carl was in 3rd, CT Sorry. No, sorry, Carl was 4th, sorry. CT Sorry P5 with Joshy 6th, with Ollie in 7th. Zebra Gaming finished 8th, Urban Pitbull 9th, Jordan Hillier completed the top 10. Then we had Berza P11 with Apex Joe 12th, Glenn 13th, ahead of Woody 14th, with Salates in P15, Fleming 16th, with Sornick in 17th, the last driver to finish the race, and then Cam McKenzie, C-Mac and James McKen all failed to finish the race last week. That was the first race of the season. It looks like we've got a funny wave band now. Another driver to get into the 130s here, just under a tenth of a second off of the fastest time being set by Zebra. Genghis Sul making I believe a debut for this season tonight, currently in P4, not far off at all. So pretty close here between the top drivers. Only 4 tenths covers the top 6 at the moment. Zebra Gaming, Ocean Blade, Funny Wave Band, Genghis Sul, Berza and Salate. 6 drivers to have done lap time so far here in this session. Lots of drivers still yet to put times in here, as Posty's just gone into 7th place with that lap. 31.7 there from Posty, about 8 tenths off for the pace at the moment. Funny Wave Band just coming round by the looks of it, so I think just behind, just got a bit of traffic here. There's Funny Wave Band. Are we on a flying lap here? We're about to find out as we come through the sector point. I think potentially not at this moment, so I think Funny Wave Band's going to either be coming in at the end of this lap or maybe backing off for another run here on these tyres with this fuel load that he's got currently underneath him. But still a long way to go here in this qualifying session. Early doors just yet, but it's looking very good for the 2 Hasses at the moment, and the top 6 seem to be pretty clear of everybody else at this point, as Salates does seem to have found a bit of time there on that last lap. Actually has got a bit closer to the pole time, although saying that, Ernie's now gone to the top spot, so closes the gap, and then suddenly the goalposts move again. So Ernie there up to top spot at the moment, 30.8 there from Ernie. So I'm sure he'll be pretty chuffed with that. But early doors, obviously the track's going to be rubbering in as they go along as well. What with this being public roads, I think for most of the year at the Madrid. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's the streets. I think it's public. I don't know actually. I could be wrong. Could be very wrong on that. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to really tell because obviously when it's done up for an F1 event, it could look very different. But I'm not 100% sure. I reckon it's probably going to be public roads. In which case the rubbering in isn't going to be too substantial. But at this point, Ernie is top of the leaderboard ahead of Zebra, Ocean Blade and Funny Wave Band. It was Ocean Blade stacked it into the wall here on this particular run, and this is only an outlap here, so has he got damage on the car? Let's just have a quick look here, see what Ocean Blade's car's looking like. Looks like the end plates are in decent nick. It looks like they haven't taken any casualties over the course of this outlap so far, so Ocean Blade looks to be alright at the moment. So maybe just running wide there and keeping it out of trouble for the time being. Mini B-Man has gone up into P8, so an improvement there from the Ferrari driver, and it's really tight actually now. The top 8 are separated by 4 tenths of a second, so that just goes to show how nip and tuck it is between these drivers here tonight. Ernie, the provisional pole sitter, into the pits, ready to have a little break maybe and put a fresh set of tyres on. Who knows if he'll come out straight away or if he'll, because he's in a bit of a tricky spot right now. He's probably got time to do at least one more run, but obviously has he got time to do 2 more runs? That's a big if. So maybe he might be better off to sit in the garage for a few minutes and then wait until there's 3 minutes on the clock and then get out and maximise those track conditions right at the end of the session. That could be what Ernie's thinking, but we'll have to wait and see what the American driver does here tonight. There's a Funny Wave Band also coming into the pits here. W-Tech Vinny there over the line, 3rd place at the moment. So again, the gap at the front between the top drivers is really narrowing here. Now that's the top 9 separated by 4 tenths of a second, showing that the Madrid's got the potential for some really close and competitive racing here. Zebra Gaming here just coming around the final sector of the lap, and this will probably be, oh, we're going for another run here. So Zebra Gaming doing a cool down lap and now going for another flying lap on this particular run. Let's jump on board here with the Haas driver. Was obviously battling it out with Ocean Blade, held the top spot for a lot of the early part of this qualifying session. So we approach the business end now. Probably he's got time to do this lap, and then an in lap, maybe getting out for one more lap at the end of the session after that on fresh tyres. So Zebra Gaming's got to make this and maybe the next run after it count, but cutting it fine for sure. Zebra Gaming into this very tricky chicane there. That might have been a corner cut, could have been a track limits, I'm not sure at the moment. we'll have to keep an eye on that. But Zebra Gaming still on the lap at the moment, half a second up through the first sector alone, but he definitely cut that chicane. Whether or not it got called out by the in-game track limits system, we're not quite sure. Genghis Su in the meantime has gone up into the P1 here on a 30.6 for the so far. Zebra Gaming still pushing, clearly still within the track limits apparently. Ocean Blade, his teammate, has gone up into P1, a 30.2 there for Ocean Blade. Zebra Gaming, maybe the game is being very lenient on that chicane there, because it definitely looked like he was all four wheels off the track as he went through the chicane in the first sector. But Zebra Gaming still pushing, absolute full tilt at the moment as we're coming through the final sector of the lap here at the Mad Ring. It's currently Ocean Blade, his teammate, on P1, 7/10 of a second clear, but Zebra Gaming's found already half a second around this lap. Now needs to find a couple more tenths here in this final sector, and it will be provisional pole once again here. So Ocean Blade, Genghis Su, currently the top two. Genghis Su 4/10 adrift of Ocean Blade. Here comes Zebra Gaming, and can he do it? Yes, he does. By just under 1/10 of a second, Zebra Gaming there goes back to the top of the leaderboard. So it's looking like it could be a two-horse race here between the two Hasses. They definitely seem to have the march on everybody else just at the moment. They seem to be pretty clear of everybody else. 4/10 clear of Genghis Su, 6/10 ahead of Ernie, and WTech Vinny is about 7/10 off with Funny Wave Band in a similar mould there as well. And Burza Salate's Mini B-Man are about a second off of the provisional pole time at this point. But yeah, it's looking incredibly close here between these top two at the moment, Zebra Gaming and Ocean Blade. And Genghis Su here coming into the pits at the end of what is maybe his final run of the session, but no, he should have time to do another run here. So I think there's time in the session to get that done. Salates is starting a lap here. Now Salates is taking a bit of a risk here because he won't maximise the track conditions at the end of the session. He's going out for his final run pretty early. Won't be able to get this lap in and then get in and do another run. So this is really going to be it here for Salates. It's now or never here for the Williams driver coming into that tricky chicane. It does look like everybody's doing the same thing through that corner. So I don't think the game is calling out those track limits coming through that section. And Salate's here really pushing it, getting as close to the wall as possible without obviously running too much risk. But they're all doing it, to be fair. It's a no compromise sort of track, this Mad Ring. But so far only one driver having crashed out at a session. I tell you what, watching this is making me look forward to driving this track. It looks absolutely brilliant. Definitely strikes me as more of the sort of track that you'd see a night race for, but I believe it's scheduled for the daytime in the real life F1 calendar. So here we come then. Salate's through the final few corners of this lap, currently P9 at the moment, just over a second off at the pace, but is there time in this lap here for Salate's to potentially put it onto P1? Here we come around the final corner. The line comes up very quickly here at the Mad Ring, and P3 there for Salates. So found 0.8 of a second on that run. Very nice lap indeed there from Salates, and only 0.2 off of the pole time. But crucially, Salates has gone for it. It's blown his load early, so now he's got to wait and see if the others can actually improve their times, and it's most likely they will, because the track is really ramping up at this point. The lap times are coming down rapidly here, so I'll be very surprised if we don't see a lap time in the 129s before the end of this session. The way that these two Hasses have been going at it, Zebra Gaming and Ocean Blade, I think it's almost certain that we'll be seeing someone dipping into the 129s. But Salates at the moment, P3, Big Ozco here coming through the middle sector. Let's keep an eye, see if we're on a flying lap here. It does look like we might be. Oh no, we've backed out of it here. Big Ozco definitely not on a flying lap here. So that's going to be Big Ozco P4 at the moment. Saying that, potentially could be another lap in this set of tyres, maybe enough fuel to get around one more time. But we've got Zebra Gaming still in the pits, Ocean Blade out onto the circuit. Zebra Gaming is now out onto the track as well. So those two have got enough time to get round. Although Zebra Gaming is cutting it fine, I'll tell you that for sure. The provisional pole sitter here might have to push a little bit over the course of this, or push a little bit more than he'd want to over the course of this outlap. That could ruin the tyre preparation a little bit. That could hand the initiative to Ocean Blade for sure. So Salate's here on his way in. Big Ozco is just about to start another lap here. So here's Bigozko here, currently P4 in this qualifying session here for the second round of TTRL Tier 3 here for Season 1 on F1 26. Ernie's out there as well on a lap, just a little bit ahead of Bigozko as well. So keep an eye on all these guys as they're pumping the laps in. Salate has actually stayed out to try and do another lap here on this run. Has obviously already done one flying lap on this run, but it's going to try and do an improved lap with slightly worn tyres, which we know is possible actually on this game. Very different from the previous iteration of this F1 25 game, this F1 26 DLC. It is possible to put in multiple flying laps on the same qualifying run on the same tyres. But Salate's here coming through the long right hander. We got to Bigozko a little bit further ahead on the track. Ernie is a 10th up through the middle sector. The middle sector though is well, that would only put him P6 where he already is. He needs to find about 7/10 of a second to put it onto P1 here. So Ernie's going to need an absolute stormer of a final sector. Has he got it in him to deliver that as he comes through in towards the final corner here? And is he going to be able to improve his time? Is he going to be able to challenge the guys at the top of the leaderboard? Here comes Ernie over the line, and he gets so close there from Ernie. Found half a second through the final sector, 200ths of a second shy there of Zebra Gaming at the moment. So Ernie not able to get it on top spot for the time being. Ocean Blade here coming through the middle sector. We've got Salates here. He's got one turn to go, and Bigozko's got onto top spot there by 200ths of a second. It is extremely close here between these drivers. Salate's there, P5. It's not going to be pole for him tonight. Ocean Blade's got a few corners to go. Zebra Gaming a little bit behind Ocean Blade on the track, is improving by a 10th, but Ocean Blade is improving by much more. Currently 2.5 tenths up through the middle sector. Ocean Blade at the moment's got the momentum. Now just needs to nail these final few corners. Currently on course for a 129 as things stand. Here comes Ocean Blade into the final corner and onto the power for one final time here in this qualifying session. It is a 129.7 there from Ocean Blade, so that's an absolutely stonking time there. But Zebra Gaming is 3/10 up through the middle sector. So if he continues this momentum, Zebra Gaming will be snatching pole if he can find another 10th in this final sector, which they all seem to be doing with the track ramping up more and more. Zebra Gaming up towards the line. Is it going to be pole? It is not. He misses out. In fact, it's an invalid lap time anyway. So Zebra Gaming did a 29.8, the lap was invalid. That means that Bigozko will be lining up alongside Zebra's teammate Ocean Blade. So it's Ocean Blade, Bigozko, Zebra Gaming in early the top 4. And what a qualifying session that was. That was brilliant. That was tense until the very last moment there, but Ocean Blade there taking pole by actually in the end quite a margin. But we know that Zebra Gaming's got the pace to take the fight to him. The question is, can he clear Bigozko early on and be in that fight? And Bigozko obviously might have a bit more pace in the race, so we could be seeing a heck of a fight here for the win tonight in Madrid for this TTRL Tier 3. But Ocean Blade top spot, Bigozko second ahead of Zebra Gaming in third place with Ernie fourth, followed by Genghis Sue and Salates with Berza, Cam McKenzie, WTech Vinny and Funny Wavebank completing the top 10. Mini B-Man 11th ahead of K's 12th, followed by Adam in 13th, Posty 14th ahead of CT Sorry in P15, Pitbull in 16th ahead of Clan in 17th, oh pardon me, Jordan Hillier in 18th, followed by C-Mac in 19th place and JR Dillon rounding out the pack there in P20. I'm well up. Might be too up. Might be. Well then everybody, getting ready to go for racing here for the second round of the TTRL T3 here this season, for season 1 on F1 26, as we've got Ocean Blade here leading us around, having taken pole by quite some way in the end, managing to get a lap in there right at the end. Zebra Gaming, Ocean Blade's teammate, was only a 10th off, but crucially that final lap didn't count. There was track limits on that final lap, so it means that Zebra Gaming will line up in 3rd place, right behind his teammate, with Big Osco lining up alongside the pole sitter there on the front row. Ernie wasn't too far away in 4th place. We know Ernie's got plenty of credentials on this F1 26 game, and or F1 25, but I'm sure that carries over to F1 26, so he'll definitely be a threat there from 4th place as well. What's the strategy going to be for these guys? Have they done their race sims around this circuit? 'Cause it's quite a new circuit for a lot of these drivers. Are we potentially going to see anyone be exposed for their lack of preparation for this one? It's going to be fascinating to see how it all pans out over the next 45 minutes or so. Here we go then, drivers coming up around the final corner. So it's going to be Ocean Blade here to get us underway for this second round of the season. There seems to be a driver there who missed the formation lap, so we'll be assuming whatever grid spot they're meant to have right about now. I think that's Genghis Su there, as we can see on the leaderboard, but Ocean Blade on the right hand side of the grid, and the lower side of your screen there's Big Osco alongside there on the front row, Zebra Gaming and Ernie there on row 2, Genghis Su and Solate's the drivers there who, well, Solate's missed the grid spot, Genghis Su retired from the formation lap. Burza there in 7th ahead of Cam McKenzie, WTech Vinny and Funny Wave Band completing the top 10. Here we go then, lights about to come on at the head of the grid here at the Mad Ring for the Spanish Grand Prix here at TTRL Tier 3. And it's lights out, we're underway. Looks like a strong start there from Ocean Blade. Big Osco didn't get away quite so well, and Ocean Blade comfortably ahead there into turn 1, as we've got someone ghosting there. That's Genghis Su who didn't get away at all. Burza there getting ahead. We've got WTech Vinny there making a good start up into P6, flying there off of the line. Posty moving ahead of Hayes up into 11th so far. JR Dillon appears to have got ahead of Mini B-Man here up into 13th place, and Mini B-Man actually getting a slow start here, dropping down the leaderboard on this opening lap. There's a few cars ghosting, so I think there may have been some people disconnecting here on this opening lap as CT Sori moves up into P19 ahead of Mini B-Man. So been a disastrous start there for the Ferrari, but Hayes up into 11th ahead of Posty, although they're still side by side, and in fact Posty backs out of that one. Hayes up into P11 here on this first lap. We've got JR Dillon there getting ahead of Posty as well up into 12th. Now Pitbull looking pretty racy here on the back of Posty in this fight for P13 on this opening lap of the race, and Urban Pitbull here looking to the outside of Posty here, but Posty covering that one off for the time being. Jordan Healy has moved ahead of Clen up into P16. Not where Jordan wants to be fighting at the moment, but I'm sure we'll be glad to have picked up a position so far here on this opening lap. Ocean Blade though out the front with almost a second gap here of Big Osco at the moment. Zebra Gaming keeping tabs with Big Osco. Ernie's still right there as well. The top 4 have broken away a little bit from Burza on this opening lap, who's currently got Genghis Su, who's back in the session by the looks of it. Adam there making a move around the outside there of Funny Wave Band. Funny Wave Band there ghosting as Hayes makes his way through as well. So So I think Funny Wave Band may have disconnected now as well. It looks like the disconnections are coming in thick and fast here tonight. Ocean Blade has done the fast step of the race there out the front, obviously leading the race as you'd expect. Funny Wave Band coming into the pits, and maybe it wasn't a disconnection, maybe it was damage, and maybe the game there obviously saving the other drivers from a potential hazard there. But Zebra Gaming will have overtake here on Big Ozco on this second lap of the race, because he was winning a second as they crossed the line, saying that Big Ozco's also got that advantage on Ocean. Oh no, and Zebra Gaming tapping Big Ozco in the rear, and Big Ozco there innocently got tapped there, nothing, no fault of his own whatsoever, and it's unfortunately dropped down an absolute load of places here, down to 11th place on the second lap. He's got damage as well. He's got to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap for sure, but Zebra Gaming got a little bit excited there. Did Big Ozco maybe brake earlier? Did he lift off in a position where Zebra Gaming wasn't expecting it? I don't quite know. Maybe the stewards will have to look at that one, but for the time being, he's being absolutely swamped right now with Big Ozco, as we see Cam McKenzie getting ahead of Posty in the meantime, taking full advantage of that situation as it was unfolding. Jordan Hillier has had a good opening for a couple of laps of the race. He's up a load of places here into 13th place, as we see Big Ozco losing out to Urban Pitbull and C-Mac as well, and now potentially is going to lose out to Clen and CT Story as well. So Big Ozco with an absolute nightmare here on this second lap of the race, having split the two Hasses in qualifying. Zebra Gaming just tapped him in the rear. Was it all Zebra Gaming's fault, or was there are there some circumstances that weren't fully apparent as we were watching that? It did look like he might have just got a bit excited, but potentially it could have been a lift in an unusual place, maybe with full fuel. Maybe the setup variations caused the two drivers to take that corner at very different speeds. We don't quite know at the moment, but nonetheless, no surprise to see Big Ozco into the pits here at the end of lap 2, and also Urban Pitbull into the pits as well. Did Urban Pitbull get caught up with Big Ozco as he was trying to make his way through there? That will be something that we'll find out, I'm sure, later on. But Ocean Blade and Zebra Gaming currently running nip and tuck at the moment. Zebra Gaming not allowing that collision to derail his hopes, but saying that he's got a 3-second penalty there for cutting the chicane. So that's going to be playing on his mind now, because there's a long way to go here in this race, and obviously with a potential penalty hanging over his head, if he does get called out for that one against Big Ozco, maybe there could be insult to injury here coming for Zebra Gaming. But at the moment, Ocean Blade looking good here out the front. Ernie's still right with these as well. This is a three-way battle here for the lead of the race, and Ernie will be rubbing his hands together here, because you can see these two teammates going at it. They're going to be fighting each other tooth and nail, probably for the win. Maybe the team game here would be for Zebra Gaming to sort of try and be the stopper here for Ernie, because obviously with Ocean Blade without a penalty, and potentially the penalty looming over Zebra Gaming's head, it might be good for him to just keep Ernie at bay. That might be the smart strategy game here to play tonight, but it's easier said than done when you're racing out on track. So we don't know how it's going to go, but a very interesting start to this race, as we see a big train of cars here battling all the way down from 4th down to pretty much 11th place here. And Zebra Gaming's taken the lead of the race here from his teammate at the beginning of lap 4, so he needs to now just take this and run with it if he can. But Ocean Blade's still right there on the back of him at the moment. Adam in the meantime has got ahead of Salates, the two Williams swapping places, but Salates not done yet, as he's got the run here coming down this stretch of the track, as we now see the McLaren there of Dylan right behind them here. But Salates has managed to squeeze back ahead of Adam there through this flat out right section of the track, and has got that move done into the chicane there. So Salates back up into 7th place, and now JR Dillon managing to get ahead of Adam as well. Adam getting a poor run out of that section. Big lock up there from the McLaren driver though, but still manages to make that move stick for the time being. And JR Dillon there is up ahead of Adam up into P8 for the time being. Posty there into the pits at the end of lap 3. Lots of drivers coming in for early pit stops here in this race. Clen also coming into the pits at the end of lap 3 for some fresh hard tyres, so that's not going to be what he had wanted at this point in the race. But absolutely brilliant action here in the opening few laps of this Spanish Grand Prix for the TTRL Tier 3 at the moment. Zebra Gaming, Ocean Blade and Ernie still running very, very close here. Less than a second really separating these top 3 at the moment. It's ebbing and flowing. The gap's going up and down, but generally about a second between these 3 at the moment. Genghis Su's also got a train of cars. He's got WTech Vinny and Berza right with him. Salates has just dropped off of that trio actually a little bit. It's got JR Dillon, Adam Hayes and Cam McKenzie in hot pursuit. So plenty of battles out on the track. Jordan Hillier running in 12th place, just ahead of C-Mac at the moment. These two have kicked a little bit clear of CT Sorry for the time being. But this is the lead battle right now. Zebra Gaming with that 3-second penalty. He's got his teammate and Ernie in hot pursuit. But can he try and break that that overtake zone, that 1-second barrier, and just try and control the race and maybe extend that 3-second gap? Potentially that 3-second penalty for track limits came due to maybe being a bit flustered after that collision there with Big O's code. Don't know if maybe I might be feeling a bit bad about that, but he can't let that affect him at this point. He's just got to get his head down and maximise his result, and then he can worry about feeling bad about that collision all he likes later on, but he just needs to get on with it for the time being. It's easier said than done. But Posty getting a 3-second penalty there for track limits, which is not going to be what he wanted at all. JR Dillon here on the back of Berza in this fight for P6. They've dropped a little bit off of WTEC Vinny there, who's running in 5th place. Genghis Su leading this train of cars, but now threatening to also be breaking away from Vinny. So this is the closest battle out of these cars here. JR Dillon looking to the outside there of Berza. Berza covering off the inside line, doing a good job there of blocking off any potential pursuits here from the McLaren. As these two are now closing in a little bit on WTEC Vinny through this section of the track. There's a bit of debris flying there. Looked like a wheel at first, but I don't think it was. Big lock up there from Vinny in the foreground. Oh, and Berza there losing it all by himself, binning it into the barriers, and he's got a bit of damage there. The left front end plates come off. Maybe going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap after that one, but unfortunate moment there for Berza. Very unlucky as Genghis Su coming into the pits here. Very early pit stop here, getting the medium tyres off. Was he potentially anticipating a safety car? It hasn't come. Regardless, Berza into the pits now also. So actually at the end of lap 5 these guys are coming. That's a very early stop indeed there. Zebra Gaming in the meantime has got the gap at almost 2 seconds over his teammate, so he's now starting to grab this race by the scruff of the neck, having obviously got involved in a collision early on and a 3-second penalty to boot. JR Dillon has now got a 3-second penalty. So 4 drivers currently with penalties. Zebra Gaming, JR Dillon, Posty and Urban Pitbull currently the ones sporting an indiscretion from the stewards. But so far Zebra Gaming seems to have just lost a bit of time on Ocean Blade so far on this lap. The gap's come down a little bit. It was about 1.6, it's now 1.2 seconds now between Zebra Gaming and Ocean Blade. Ernie's still sticking to the back of Ocean Blade at the moment, not letting him off the hook at all. But these two have gained on Zebra Gaming over the course of this lap significantly as well. As the two McLarens running pretty close. Obviously they're no longer separated by the V car of Berza. These two are now right next to each other here. And we've got a driver crashed out of the race here, I think, Genghis Su. I think it's a crash on the track because we've got a caution. Oh yeah, there he is. So that was an accident there into the wall for Genghis Su. And that's why we've got double waved yellow flags through sector 2. And in fact we've actually got a VSC. It didn't come up on my screen, but I can see it on the marshal posts there. That's unmistakably their VSC. So does anybody come into the pits and make the most of that? We see JR Dillon doing exactly that. Hayes also bringing it into the pits. Surprising not to see the others coming in, because the leaders did have time to bring it into the pits. It wasn't called before they came round. So sorry, it was called. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is it was called before they came round. So actually they could have come into the pits and done that, but chose not to. Oh wow, was that 3 drivers there getting a penalty for speeding in the pits? This is Monaco all over again. What's going on? This is like Monaco in the real life F1. That farcical situation where the pit lane average speed title, I think he was basically in a different place from where it had always been, and drivers were getting speeding penalties left, right and centre. Looks like we might be getting a similar story tonight at Madrid. Nonetheless, the VSC has now subsided, so we're back underway once again. Gaps between Zebra Gaming and Ocean Blade still pretty similar. Ernie's still hanging on to the back of Ocean Blade at the moment, but looking like Ocean Blade starting to now get into a bit of a rhythm and potentially extend here over the Alpine driver currently running in 3rd place. Cam Mackenzie on the back of Adam in this fight for 6th place as well, so that could be one to keep an eye on very, very soon as they're coming through the final sector of the lap here. They'll be coming around on the start finish straight in a moment, so Cam could be looking pretty hot on the heels of him in a moment. Salates here is also closing up into the back of WTEC Vinny here. But Jordan Hilly there with a 3-second penalty for track limits. Here comes Salates then. Is he going to have a chance maybe down the straight or into the corners afterwards. This will be the part of the track where he can potentially make it happen. Bears are there getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. As Jordan Hidder even into the pits at the end of lap 7. Only crawling all over the back of Ocean Blade. Ocean Blade's dropped off his teammate significantly over the course of this lap. So late's still on the back of Vinny as well. We're going to stick with this battle here because Ernie's looking very racy here on the back of Ocean Blade. Maybe going to go around the outside here. He'd have the inside for this left-hander if he can keep himself there, but he can't. And Ocean Blade clings onto that one as they come into this left-hander. But I'll tell you what, Ernie looked like he may have had a bit of a run there, but Ocean Blade's covered him off nicely. So Lates is all over the back of Vinny. Surely he's got a chance into this braking zone. Vinny's going to have to leave him space. Surely no, he keeps it around the outside. And Vinny manages to cling on to 4th place there by the skin of his teeth. Adam and Cam McKenzie watching this in the background, potentially able to close in pretty shortly. Looks like we might have another VSC here, because I think there's been debris of some sort. Oh, it's a full safety car now. Full safety car has been deployed here for this Spanish Grand Prix here tonight at TTRL Tier 3. Lap 8 of the race. Zebra Gaming currently leading the race by 3 seconds over Ocean Blade and Ernie. Definitely looked, though, at the end of that stint like Ocean Blade's tyres maybe were starting to go off a bit. So I wonder how that's going to play out later on in the race, because if he's not saving his tyres very well, then that could be a real blow for him. But I'll tell you what is a blow: Zebra Gaming getting a safety car with that 3-second penalty, because obviously the more safety cars there are, the more that the gaps are going to be nullified. And that is not good if you've got a 3-second penalty coming your way at the end of the race. But as expected, most of the pack coming into the pits under the safety car. And to be honest, I'm delighted the safety car has been called out, because I just need to pop off for a very short moment. Here we go, everybody. We're about to get back underway here for the Spanish Grand Prix here at the TTRL Tier 3. As we've got Zebra Gaming here just coming through these final couple of corners with Ernie right behind him, Ocean Blade in third place. Both of those two come into the pits, all of them coming into the pits, but Ernie getting the jump on Ocean Blade in the pits with the two Hasses double stacking. Here we go then, back underway. Ernie attacking already on the back of Zebra Gaming into turn one, but at the moment Zebra Gaming looking comfortable there in that position. Ernie there in second ahead of Ocean Blade, followed by Salates, with who's really looking hot on the back of Ocean Blade at the moment. Potentially Ocean Blade about to get mugged here by one of the Williams drivers as they're side by side here coming through this flat out section which leads towards the chicane, and for the time being Ocean Blade clings onto that one. Salates unable to do anything just there, but Posty in the meantime has moved ahead of Glenn up into 14th place. Big Ozco there has picked off Mini B-Man, who's also lost out there to Posty. In fact, Mini B-Man getting swamped here on this restart. It's ghosting there, so potentially could be a disconnection there for Mini B-Man. I'm not quite sure at this moment. But Ernie out the front has taken the lead off of Zebra Gaming. So Ernie now, your new race leader, has managed to get ahead of both the Hasses. There's a lot of penalties are currently on the board at the moment. 3 seconds for each of the top three, so nothing major there for those. They're actually all in the same boat, which is quite funny really. But Salates there running in 4th place. If we can keep up with the top three, then it could be a race win there for Salates. Jordan Hillier has moved ahead of Mini B-Man now up into 17th place. Urban Pitbull will be next to attempt to pick off that Ferrari driver, but at the moment Ernie looking to have taken the money and ran in this opening lap of the restart. Lap 12 of this 29 lap race, and he's currently doing what he has to do here. As Ocean Blade's been let through there by his teammate Zebra Gaming, so interesting moment there between those two. I'm not quite sure what the motive was, but nonetheless Zebra Gaming there lifting off and letting his teammate through unmistakably through that part of the track. As Ernie there, fastest lap of the race out the front. I'm currently enjoying life here on these fresh hard tyres at the moment, but can the two Hasses stick to the back of the race leader and give him a fight over the course of this stint? Is it going to be a run to the end here with obviously 18 laps to go on this at the beginning of this restart? Potentially these tyres could get to the end of the race, it's very possible. Posty here is all the way back of C-Mac as they come through the flat out section, that right hander into the chicane, just a little bit too far back at the moment. C-Mac is able to cling on to that one for the time being. Hayes is currently looking pretty racy on the back of Cam McKenzie as well in this fight for 5th place. That could be one that's going to materialise very shortly indeed. Although Cam McKenzie getting a better run there through that section, through this the banked corner in front of that magnificent stadium section. And JR Dillon there sneaking up the inside of Hayes up into 6th place with a lovely move there from the McLaren. Absolutely beautifully done there. And his teammate there, JR Dillon's teammate, WTech Vinny, in the other McLaren, is now right behind Hayes as well. So it could be about to make it a double whammy in terms of the McLarens here on Hayes in a moment. On board here with WTech Vinny as we're coming through the final sector of this lap here. C-Mac there with a 3-second penalty. Yet another driver falling foul of the wrath of the stewards here tonight. As we see Jordan Hillier moving ahead of Funny Wave Band, and so is Urban Pitbull. Funny Wave Band going backwards here on this lap. Oh, no wing, and that's clear to see, and in fact pins it again into the wall. So clearly damage there on that Alpine. And Funny Wave Band's going to be limping around to the pits in a moment. So we've got double waved yellows through sector 3. Is it a VSC or is it just double waved yellows? I have to keep an eye out. It's just a VSC at the moment. No full safety car, but a bit more severe than double waved yellows. But Funny Wave Band's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits just to add insult to injury, and he has in fact rage quit from the session as a result of that. Which is a shame to see. Obviously you never want to see people rage quitting from the race, but it does happen from time to time. Sometimes these things can't be helped. I'll tell you one driver who's really benefited from this restart, who seems to be very comfortable on the hard tyres, and that is Ernie. Seems to be really revelling on these more durable white wall compound, and has managed to gap Ocean Blade by over a second in the actual timings. Obviously under VSC it's a bit more, but I believe it was just over a second just before the VSC was called, which is brilliant here for Ernie. And it looks like we're now back underway here, so the gap's just crept under a second on the restart. Ocean Blade maybe a bit more ready for that one by the looks of it. But I'll tell you what, we have got a race on our hands. It's not just going to be between the two Hasses. Ernie's very much in this fight as he leads us here on lap 14 of the race. Ocean Blade, though, is all over the back of him. But these two, both with 3-second penalties, so they're both in a similar position here in this race. And Ocean Blade here looking to try and apply the pressure on the back of Ernie here as they come out around the final corner over the line to complete lap 14. And here comes Ocean Blade, a little bit too far back there into turn 1. This next section of the track though is going to be the moment. Oh, it's Ocean Blade there, picks up another penalty. That's now 6 seconds on his record for this race, which is going to be very difficult to bounce back from. Ernie with 3 seconds still, currently in the box seat at the moment. Zebra Gaming will see that potentially. Will be, well, obviously from the team point of view, will be a bit frustrated, but knows that the win could be in his grasp here if Ernie gets tripped up by Ocean Blade, or if he gets a penalty of his own here. So maybe that could be bringing his momentum back into this one. But Ernie at the moment still in the box seat in terms of penalties and in terms of track position. Ernie's definitely the driver you want to be at this point, as Urban Pitbull and Mini Bean Man side by side. Obviously Mini Bean Man not at the wheel, that's his AI in the car, and Urban Pitbull making that move up into 16th place as a result. JR Dillon has got ahead of Cam Mackenzie up into P5, so that was a move on the brakes there by the looks of it. Cam Mackenzie unable to fight that one, although trying to come back at him. Oh, taps him in the rear there. Had a big overspeed there coming through that part of the track as we see Big Osko. Oh, Big Osko's had another moment. Damage there on the V-carb. And what started out as a really promising night here for Big Osko. Had a good qualifying, was running in P2 should I say, in the opening couple of laps of the race. And has had another moment here in mid-pack as he tried to come back through the pack and get himself back into this race. Currently running in 17th with damage, presumably going to be coming to the pits. Hayes has also had a moment. Hayes had a collision with somebody and is now being absolutely swamped and consumed by this pack here, as there he is. So coming into the pits now is Hayes. So Hayes, and I assume Big Osko as well, will be in the pits at the end of this lap. And what a disaster for both of those two as Hayes retires from the session. Big Osko going into the wall there as he comes into the pits. I mean, fair play if he carries on. Hopefully he doesn't rage quit. Glenn also having an absolute nightmare here tonight, currently running in P18. Glenn obviously is a driver who's had many a night better than this, namely the Purple Sector League. He's two-time champion on a Tuesday night, but tonight certainly not one of those nights here for Glenn. But early in the meantime has managed to open up a bit of a gap here over Ocean Blade. Is there a VSC? I think it is a VSC at the moment, which obviously does accentuate the gaps a little bit, or exaggerate. So far been a dramatic race. Predicted earlier we'd be seeing plenty of safety cars and plenty of retirements, and it's definitely transpired exactly that way. We've got Wolves there in the comments. Says both McLaren's bad driving, aggressive and forcing people off track, he reckons. I did see JR Dillon making a very late move up the inside a couple of laps ago. We caught the tail end of the move. It sort of looked like it had come from nothing really, but I didn't see the context of the move, or whether it was on or whether it was just a rash move. But certainly we're hearing reports there that there's been a bit of foul play out there. Salate's looking at the inside of Zebra Gaming, the second of two Hasses. Oh, misjudged that cut back horrendously there, did Salate's. Still alongside at the moment, potentially might have stuck back into the slipstream in a second. Here they come as we got JR Dillon now getting involved in this. Around the outside of Zebra Gaming, potentially two moves maybe. If he can get around this Hass as well. He's too far back there on Zebra Gaming going to the chicane as the Salates there's trying to hold it around the outside. JR Dillon's got that move done. Now Cam Mackenzie looking to try and punish Salates there, making his way through round the outside, and there's contact there between them. And Cam Mackenzie tried to get around the outside of Salates, couldn't quite do it cleanly. And Adam now getting around Salates as well. So Salates getting completely and utterly annihilated by this pack here. W-Tech Vinny right on the back of Salates now, as well as he's going backwards on lap 17 of this race. But the big news there, JR Dillon up into P4, now 2 seconds clear of this pack of cars. Cam Mackenzie currently leading the chasing pack of that 4th place driver. W-Tech Vinny there getting ahead of Salates up into 7th place. But for JR Dillon, he's got away with that one nicely, as we now see him trying to make the move here on Zebra Gaming up into 3rd place potentially. So JR Dillon now hunting a podium position in this race. I'm sure he'd really love to make this one happen. Zebra Gaming appears to have, I think, maybe some sort of damage. I'm not quite sure. Just doesn't seem to have much as taps the wall there on the inside. And JR Dillon now making their way through up into third place, ghosting through Zebra Gaming there as they had that collision. Zebra Gaming coming into the pits. No surprise there. I thought there was damage, and there certainly was. But JR Dillon up into the podium places. Cam Mackenzie now right on the back of the McLaren in this fight for third place. It's brought Cam Mackenzie and Adam back into this fight. WTEC Vinny and Soleil still in that fight as well. Hasn't dropped out, but had an absolute horror show of a previous lap there, did Soleil, and is now going to have to really get back into the zone here and just go again in this one. But so far, JR Dillon driving a strong race, although saying that, some people don't agree in the comments. We'll have to see how that holds up in the stewards room. But Pitbull there retiring from the session here on lap 18 of the race with 11 laps left here in this Spanish Grand Prix here for TTRL Tier 3. Adam still in the back of Cam Mackenzie, although seems to just be dropping a little bit off him at the moment. There's WTEC Vinny on the back of the Williams driver Adam at this moment in time. What can WTEC Vinny do at this stage? As looking like Adam potentially at threat of losing the overtake mode there on Cam, which will make him extra vulnerable here to the McLaren right behind him. And Vinny's teammate Dillon 3 places up, currently in the podium positions, seeing off Cam Mackenzie for the time being. Berzer with a 3-second penalty. We've got a double wave yellow flags through sector 1 as well. Not sure what those are for. I just at the moment can't see any gaps rapidly increasing, so I'm not quite sure. Could be a front wing or something. Could be a part of a front wing. Not quite sure at this moment. For the time being, Vinny is putting a lot of pressure here on the back of Vinny as they're coming through the final. Sorry, not putting pressure on Vinny, he's putting pressure on Adam, not Vinny. Here's Vinny, he's putting the pressure on Adam for 5th place, lap 19 here of this race, and he's still right with him as they come through that first chicane. Adam for the time being holding on to P5 in this fight with Vinny. These guys about a second clear of Soleil, who doesn't seem quite able to stick with him for the time being. Oh, and JR Dillon's got a 3-second penalty. I think that might be another one. So yeah, JR Dillon now is 6 seconds worth of penalties. So that will give the advantage to Cam Mackenzie if he can stay within 3 seconds up until the end of the race. Berzer's now left the session. Obviously, they'd already retired beforehand. Pretty much the whole field is on hard tyres, so we can go with the penalty graphic now, and that'll give us some insight into how the classification is going to look regardless of the actual order itself. But I'll tell you what, it's been an exciting Spanish Grand Prix here for TTRL Tier 3 tonight. There's been plenty of action. I did say beforehand I reckon there'll be lots of retirements and lots of safety cars, and we've had about 4 VSCs, 1 safety car, 1 full safety car, and it's just a lot of drama really, to be honest with you. And obviously 7 retirements, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I said about drama. But I'm just noticing here the safety car is at the end of the pit lane, ready to pick up the leader. What I like about the F1 26 update is that the safety car doesn't leave the pits until the leaders are coming round, whereas in the past you'd see the safety car come out straight away and just sort of like hover around on the track, and it would take longer for the pack to actually form up behind the safety car because of it. But on F1 26 update, the safety car doesn't leave the pits until the drivers have, or rather doesn't leave the first sector until the drivers have come around. They do actually leave the pits, but yeah, anyway, Ernie into the pits, putting some fresh tyres on. Let's see what tyres are going on. Hard tyres for Ernie, medium tyres for Ocean Blade. Now this is interesting because Ernie's going to have the tyres that last much easier. Ocean Blade's going to have faster tyres on this restart. Posty has gone for a risky one. He's tried to stay out on those hard tyres, which are 11 laps old. So he's going to have a lot of drivers behind him who are going to have a lot more pace in the final part of this race. CT Story and Jordan have both also stayed out as well, but they're 4th and 5th. They haven't benefited enormously from this. Cam Mackenzie has got fresh medium tyres, running in 6th place. Mini B-Man has got Warren Hards in at 7th. JR Dillon there in 8th place on fresh mediums, as is Adam. Zebra Gaming down in P10 with 2 lap old medium tyres. So this hasn't gone too well for Zebra Gaming. I think there's one driver that's lost out enormously from this. It might be him. WTEC Vinny there in 11th with Salates in 12th, and C-Mac currently the last runner here of this what was a 20 car field. It's now 13 of them still left in this race, so be surprised if there's still 10 running by the end of this race, to be perfectly honest with you, and that'd be half the pack that started it. Here we go then, everybody, almost about to get back underway for what's probably going to be the final stretch of this race. We've got 8 laps left here, so Posty on the worn out hard tyres is going to get us back underway. Early and Ocean Blade are going to be itching to get on with this one on much fresher tyres. I can't imagine that Posty can keep them at bay for too long, but here we go then. This is it for the first ever race that I've commentated on around the Mad Ring for the Madrid Grand Prix, or the Spanish Grand Prix, as it's going to be hosting for the next few years. But here we go, Posty around the final corner gets the race back underway. Ernie and Ocean Blade are going to be coming for him. Ocean Blade's very close in the back of Ernie at the moment, but not close enough as they go into turn one. I think, oh, he's going to go for a lunge up the inside. I've got to eat my words there, because Ocean Blade's gone for it and it's taken P2 straight off of the line here, ahead of Ocean Blade. We've got Gerald Dillon there getting ahead of Mini B-Man, up into 7th. Obviously Mini B-Man there on these, the AI in the car, so not able to put up too much of a defence there. But nonetheless, we've got Jordan Healy there moving ahead of CT Sorry up into 4th place, going into the chicane. Oh, Jordan's missed the chicane and gone straight on, as now Cam McKenzie poking us up the inside of CT Sorry. Was rash there from Cam, I have to say, as he really did force his way through there. Oh, and Cam McKenzie bins it into the barriers moments after a very rash move there, and that's now 8 retirements here from this race. Jordan Hillier cut the chicane to make that move on CT Sorry. That CT Sorry then got almost taken out by Cam McKenzie. Has CT Sorry got damage, or has he managed to escape from that one unscathed? It'll be a miracle if he has, but that's another safety car, and that's going to be more. So that's going to be, well, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I've looked at it, Cam. I mean, it's definitely not clear cut on your part, but I'd say that it was. I mean, the thing is, it's a straight chicane almost. So the way the trajectory that he was going at, he was always going to come back on in that position. I think he probably should have left a space, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it helped the situation, but it's not my call, is it? I'm not a steward. I've just had a look at it again. But yeah, I mean, mate, I'm just reacting to it as it happens. But he stayed on track. That's not on me. He needs to move to the side. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe. I don't know. I think maybe it would have been smarter to lift. That's all I'm saying. It's not clear cut, is it? I think obviously he's in the wrong. But yeah, he can't disappear. He made a mistake, which, you know, happens, and he can't just disappear. So I think lifting would have been the smarter option. I don't know. It's just me. I'm not a steward, am I? So yeah, I fully understand that. I fully understand that. I think that if you had lifted, I think the cars behind would have probably had more time to react, but I don't know. It's not on me. It's not my decision, is it? It's tricky making snap decisions like that, you know, heat in the moment. Just like it is for me calling it, so I have to say what I see in that moment, but it's hard for you guys as well when you're reacting to what's going on in front of you. So you see Mac here putting the soft tyres on, so going for a all-out run towards the end of the race by the looks of it. He's going to have his teammate offering a path of major resistance. Obviously Mini B-Man's AI ghosting around there in P11, having not driven a single lap of this race, I don't think. And Posty still leading this race, which is quite incredible, despite obviously not pitting in that last round of pit stops and chancing it, trying to stay out on these worn out hard tyres, and at the moment still leading this race. And with just about 5 laps to go, I think by the time we get this going it will be 5 laps to the end. So, well, I don't think he's going to keep Ocean Blade and Ernie behind, but crazy things have happened. But it would be pretty crazy. I mean, it would need an immediate safety car. You'd need basically 2 immediate safety cars immediately after the green flag to occur. If those did happen, Posty might have a chance of winning this race, but 15 lap old hard tyres are not going to have a chance against fresh mediums or fresh hards for that matter. So I think we're waiting to see how long it takes for Ocean Blade and Ernie to make their way through up into P1 and 2. Jordan Hillier and CT Sori are going to provide a bit of resistance here to the likes of JR Dillon and Adam, and Zebra Gaming running in P8. So I think this will be between Ocean Blade and Ernie for the win here tonight. And Ocean Blade with 6 seconds worth of penalties needs to pull out a gap here to Ernie. So ideally for Ocean Blade, he'd need to hope that Ernie struggles to clear Posty and that he can make light work of him. But perhaps Ocean Blade needs to get ahead of this Red Bull ASAP. If he wants to win this race with 5 laps left, he needs to pull out a 3-second gap to Ernie before the flag. The momentum, I think the probabilities, the odds are certainly with Ernie at this stage. But what is going to happen here over the next 5 laps, over the final 5 laps of the Spanish Grand Prix here for the Talk Titans Racing League Tier 3. Here we come then, around the final corner, and Posty's a bit of a slide there as he gets it back underway. Those tyres certainly feeling the effects of not being very warm at this stage, having just done a few laps under the safety car. Posty leads into turn 1 ahead of Ocean Blade. There's Ernie ahead of Jordan, followed by CT Sori. Zebra Gaming, oh, it's been caught up in a collision there with JR Dillon. Those two coming together into turn 1. 2 drivers who have been involved in incidents over the course of tonight, and they've had one more between each other here at the beginning of this restart. As Ocean Blade all over the back of Posty going into the chicane. Posty seemed to take that chicane pretty straight line-ish there, I have to say, but Ocean Blade for the time being still behind him. Ernie running in P3 with Jordan Hillier keeping tabs with these guys through the first few corners of this restart. But Ocean Blade all over the back of Posty. Posty, they're going a bit wide. Ocean Blade gets the cut back beautifully there up into the lead of the race. Now he needs to hope that Ernie gets a bit held up here behind Posty, but Ernie is going to be on it, making sure he gets ahead as quickly as he possibly can here. Ernie round the outside of Posty, and up into second place he goes. He's still right on the back of Ocean Blade. That's not what Ocean Blade wanted at all. Now Ernie can just try and stay within the overtake zone of Ocean Blade for the rest of this race, for these next 4.5 laps. And if he can do that, he will most certainly take the win. As long as he doesn't get another penalty, he'll be able to just sit behind the race leader and he'll be able to get the win on the classification. W-Tech Vinny has got ahead of CT Sorry. So is Salate. Salate's swooping around the outside there of him up into, of CT Sorry up into P7. So CT Sorry getting a little bit bullied here at this stage in the race. Siak's also got ahead of him up into P8 as well. So has he got a bit of damage there, maybe CT Sorry? Potentially. I think there's got to be damage on that car. Yeah, left front end plate is missing there from the Cadillac. So he's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 25 to get that replaced. But disaster there for CT Sorry and for Zebra Gaming, who's had a chaotic race, it has to be said. The opening couple of laps weren't really what you want to be seeing from a driver who's up there in the fight for pole position and could have been in the fight for the win with a bit more consistency here tonight, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, as Adam and Jordan here are going pretty close here. Jordan up the inside up into 4th place. That's job done there for the Red Bull driver up ahead of the Williams, as we see Salates has also managed to fight it out here with Vinny for P6. C-Mac and JR Dillon right behind these guys as well. This is technically a 5-car battle here, 6-car battle even for 4th place. There's a lot of them in a line here as they fight it out. We've got JR Dillon moving ahead of C-Mac there up into 8th place through the long right-hander. That stadium section, that banked right-hander. So JR Dillon there up into 8th place here in all of that. Zebra Gaming has come back into the pits again for some fresh soft tyres as we approach the closing stages here of this Spanish Grand Prix. Ocean Blade still leading the race. Ernie is sticking right to the back of him right now. At this point, Ernie will be the race winner with that 3-second penalty. Ocean Blade obviously was 6 seconds worth. So as it stands, Ernie will inherit that race win. As long as he doesn't get a penalty in these next 3 laps, he'll have it sewn up here. As Adam still trying to get his way through ahead of Jordan for the time being. Salates has lost out to 2 McLarens here, Vinny and Dylan. So Salates here having a nightmare of a lap on lap 26. He's got C-Mac right behind him as well here, so won't want to be losing another place. He'll get the position on Dylan once the checker flag comes, obviously, because he's got less penalties at this point. Dylan with 6 seconds, Salates with only 3. But Dylan could play an absolute team game here, because if he keeps Salates at bay, he'll stop Salates from beating Vinny on the classification. As Adam and Jordan again side by side here. This time it's Adam on the attack, looking to go around the outside into the chicane. Beautiful move there from Adam. Gets it stopped nicely as well, and back up into 4th place. These two have been going at it for the last few laps. Adam putting the move on Jordan, kind of the opposite way around. It was on the outside. He went into the chicane this time around. Did Adam. Jordan did him on the inside on the previous lap. But fantastic racing here between these two. Pretty evenly matched at this point. Can Jordan stay close and maybe return the favour again on the next lap? It's Ernie making a move for the lead of the race. Up the inside he goes of Ocean Blade. Is that job done? It is. Ernie has taken the lead on the track. He didn't need to. Obviously, he only needed to stay behind him and he'd get the win on the timings with the penalties there for Ocean Blade. But he's gone and done it on the track. He's basically made sure that there was no doubt tonight that he was the top driver out on the track. Ernie at the moment currently looking good here for this Spanish Grand Prix here tonight. A great move there as he had it around the outside from the banked right-hander, and we were just joining them as he made that move on the inside for the left afterwards. So Ernie now with the race under his control with just 2 laps left to go as he comes around the final corner to start the penultimate lap. So Ernie looks like he's done this one in the closing stages. W-Tech Vinny still on the back of Jordan Hillier in the fight for 5th place. As JR Dillon looking up the inside of Vinny as they come out of the final corner. Here he goes. But Vinny might have the slipstream here from the Salates might have the slipstream off of Vinny, but JR Dillon able to hold on there ahead of Salates for the time being, and able to use that slipstream from his teammate there to stay ahead in 7th place. But Salates still right with Dillon at the moment as they're coming through this long right-hander. Now what can Dylan do coming into the chicane? Still just a bit too far away. Jordan Healy's got a 3-second penalty, as here comes Dylan once again, managing to make that move up at the inside of his teammate, and he's made that stick as he, oh my goodness me, the McLarens are fighting each other here, and they could be about to throw away enormous points as Vinny aggressively shoved his way through back ahead of his teammate. Solace now could be fancying a move here on Vinny. Does Vinny have damage after that? Does Dylan have damage after that? There's Solace now trying to go around the outside of Dylan, around the back right-hander, but has to tuck in for the time being because he hasn't got enough of a run there. So Dylan able to hold on to the 7th place there for the time being. Vinny and Dylan were trying to kill each other there as they went through the first sector. That's incredible there from two teammates, clearly not playing the team game. They both want the position, but I tell you what, with Dylan's penalty there, he's going to lose out to Salate, so that's going to hurt him very much. But he's certainly kept him from getting his teammate, so Salates can't get Vinny on the classification at the moment because those two have both got 3-second penalties. So Dylan could yet do his teammate a favour, but it certainly didn't look like he was trying to. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. As Ernie starting the final lap of the race, looking in control of this one. 2 seconds the gap over Ocean Blade at the moment. Ernie looks like he's done enough here to well, get a decent gap, as well as the fact that he's got less penalties. So Ernie's really covered all angles here tonight over the course of this Spanish Grand Prix. We can see Dylan has got damage, and he's got significant damage there on the front. He's got missing both of his end plates, and somehow the front wing has still managed to stay on despite that. Salates here is surely going to be eyeing up an easy pass here on this final lap of the race with that damage, although Dylan somehow, oh no, he's gone straight on at the chicane. That was waiting to happen. Oh no, he's crashed out on the final lap of the race as well. He could have just brought it round and got some points on the board, but Dylan has thrown it away there. That's going to promote Salates right up onto the back of Vinny, and now he's not playing the team game. Now Vinny could be vulnerable here for this P6, as we see Salates attacking all over him as they come through the right hander, and he's got up the inside here of Salates, and he's got P6. He's done it. So Salates has stolen more points away from the McLarens on the final lap of the race. Great move there from Salates. As we come through the final few corners, Ernie has just got himself a second penalty. He's got now 6 seconds to his name, but he's 3 seconds clear of Ocean Blade. Ocean Blade also with 6 seconds, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But Ernie's going to come through the final few corners here of this Spanish Grand Prix. A great drive here from Ernie. I tell you what, he didn't really have the pace to the Hasses as much in the first stint on the soft tyres, but on the hard tyres, he's been the man to beat. Ernie is coming around the final corner here at Madrid, and he's going to take the checkered flag. He is your race winner tonight for the Spanish Grand Prix Round 2 of TTRL Tier 3 for Season 1 on F1 26. Ocean Blade second, with Posty driving a great race there, but missing out on the podium with the penalties. So Ocean Blade drops down to third. Adam takes second. Great drive from Adam. Managed to nick that one right at the end there by half a second on the penalties. Posty 4th, Salate's 5th, with Vinny over in 6th place, Jordan 7th, Mini B-Man AI in 8th, with C-Mac in 9th. The last driver to finish the race will be CT Sori in the points here, P10, but a long way behind as he comes into the final corner now to take that 10th place. But Ernie, a well-deserved winner tonight, a great drive there from him, and managed to steal the race there from the Haas drivers, who were well, to be fair, Ocean did a good job in that one, but I think Ernie was just a bit too good there in that middle stint, and that final stint just seemed to have the measure of him as well. I'll tell you what, the soft tyres, it definitely looked like the Haas drivers were quicker, but Ernie on the hard tyres and the medium tyres definitely had the advantage. Although saying that, Ernie had the hard tyres in that final stint, might have been why Ocean Blade dropped back a bit towards the end. But nonetheless, that is that then for tonight's action here in the TTR Tier 3. That is that then. Thanks guys for joining us here tonight. Really enjoyed that, and we'll see you all very soon. I might have mentioned a couple of times that Ocean Blade was a coordinator for another league. That's a different guy. Sorry, it's another Ocean. If I did, I'm truly sorry about that. Just my brain. Anyway, thanks to that. We'll see you all very soon.